Good afternoon. Thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. I think I can sum up our position very quickly and succinctly. You know how it's a bad budget? When it starts out with at least $1 billion of tax increases. Yet again, that's where we're headed. As a reminder, in Governor Pritzker's 6 years in office, he has increased state spending by 40%. There are very few households, very few families that have had their income increase 40% over that 6 years. These are Governor Pritzker's budgets. These are not Governor Rauner's, Governor Quinn's. Governor Pritzker's budget's 40% over 6 years. This type of undisciplined spending is unsustainable in the state of Illinois. This budget is no different yet again, and as we're working through it to find out what's in it, and we're getting amendments hour by hour. I think the biggest takeaway the citizens of Illinois should take is in less than 9 hours. There is no revenue bill filed yet. We were just in committee and couldn't get answers on what the revenue increases are. In less than 9 hours, in this day and age of supposed transparency, the Democrats are going to file over $1 billion in tax increases. The public are not going to see it until it's filed. They're going to pass it through the House and pass it through the Senate in less than 9 hours. That lack of transparency alone and that lack of being upfront with the people of Illinois should be more than enough reason for Governor Pritzker to veto that revenue bill and make the legislative Democrats act in a transparent manner with the people of Illinois. Some of the items in the budget that we have seen, even though we know there's going to be further amendments, other than at least $1 billion in tax increases, the governor is backtracking on multiple commitments. Going back on 2 years ago, he talked about $75 million increase yearly over the next 4 years to build up the early childhood education department. That's gone from this budget. Already going back on his word. State of Illinois is going back on their word with adults with disabilities, cutting that funding. And also the request for special ed funding, not in this budget as well. We continue to have our promises to the community, to the disabled community, whether it's education or adults, ring hollow. We can and should do better. There's decreased funding for the Legislative Audit Commission. We're going to backtrack on our oversight, and it's going to impair our ability to carry out audits and studies and find waste, fraud, and abuse. What isn't in this budget? Property tax relief. Yet again, another budget, no property tax. And in fact, the little bit of property tax relief we had in last year's budget, we paused. We took it out. Amazing. No property tax relief, no humane funding for adults with developmental disabilities. Economic development in rural communities has been left behind. Meaningful investment in child care for working families, no energy cost relief. With the summer spikes coming, that is not in this budget as well. While Governor Pritzker continues to seek exploding spending and shifting the burden on the Illinois families, Washington, D.C. is moving in the opposite direction, cutting taxes and delivering real relief for working people, seniors, and families. Whether you're gig workers, you're tipped workers, waitresses, they're delivering actual real tax relief to working people. Illinois, it's the opposite. More taxes, more tax burden. We've always said that this kind of spending isn't sustainable, but the yearly billion plus dollar tax increases, and as we know with public transit, could be $3 billion being increased, tax increase in the next 10 hours in this building, continue to place undue and gross burden on the people of Illinois. It's more spending, more taxes, fewer opportunities for people that are being squeezed. I will tell you this, you want a prediction? One prediction is the only bipartisanship you're going to see in this building today is opposition, is voting against this budget. Republicans are standing strong in opposition to the continued tax increases. With that, I want to turn it over to our lead budgeteer, Chapin Rose.
Thanks, Senator. I think you summed it up very well. Look, you're on the clock. There is no revenue bill. They won't even tell you what it is. I mean, how many different ways I tried to ask that question in the committee, 20 minutes ago? What is the revenue? How do you get the number? They won't tell you. What does that tell you? It tells you everything you need to know, right? At the end of the day, you've got the Republican Party trying to help working people. And I mean, the leader just mentioned the gig workers, the baristas at Starbucks with tips, the overtime workers, the guy that has to work overtime, to put food on his kid's table. But the bill that passed the House also contained, child tax credit for families. It contains senior taxes for senior relief for senior citizens. I mean, and then you contrast that with Illinois, and it's just, we're taxing ourselves out of existence. I mean, listen, how $15 billion this has gone up in 6 years under Governor Pritzker. $15 billion. And his response was, well, we're still dealing with like all these other things from 6 years. 6 years, $15 billion. Where does it end? It ends when everybody leaves Illinois because they've been crushed to death with this ever-increasing tax burden. And now here we are, literally hours away from the midnight deadline, and we don't have a final budget for you all to look at, for the people of Illinois to look at, and we don't know what the taxes are that they're going to impose on the people of Illinois. I mean, this is like, when does it end? Working people are being punished by this. I mean, you cannot live and put food on your kids' tables in this state because you're being crushed to death by this. And now here we are, they won't even tell you what's going to happen, in this budget yet. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. It's just so, I mean, here we are again. We have part of a budget in a subject matter hearing, and it's going to get changed, and they're going to tell you this and tell you that. But as the leader said, my goodness, look at who's looking out for working people. It's not the Democrats. It's not the Democrats at all. And by the way, I think the leader predicted it, but while Governor Pritzker and his progressives are looking to soak Illinoisans, I'll bet you there ends up being bipartisan opposition to this. Because the guys like Fred Crespo, who got thrown under the bus 2 weeks ago, he gets it. He knows this is bad for Illinois, and we'll see where this goes.
Senator, you open for questions?
We'll take a few questions. We are on the floor, so we'll just keep it to a few.
Senator Rose, you felt very strongly about the developmental disabilities. Can you explain kind of, what actually happened and how that makes you feel?
Look, it should make everyone feel, I mean, our developmentally disabled friends and neighbors, and we all have them, through any modicum of ethic, religion, or anything else you subscribe to about trying to be a good person in life, means we should help those folks. Okay, party doesn't matter, right? You should just do that. But so to get to $2 an hour, you need 40 million, you need 80 million bucks, okay? They're blowing 40 million of it on welcome centers. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's half of what's needed. But then this nonsense, cynical, and I mean cynical sleight of hand, where they tell you they're actually doing something when they're stripping away the hours of care. I mean, who looks you in the eye and says, I care, but then cuts the number of hours that are actually available to bathe, feed, toilet a fellow human being? I mean, it's just so cynical.
There was a little discussion about the 240 million member district projects. Were you guys offered an opportunity to provide input into getting money back for your districts for specific projects?
I would say Senator Rose led our team in a lot of collaborative talks, going department by department, and investigating ways to save money in this budget. We came into this budget cycle fully intent on the state of Illinois living within its means. If there was ever a budget, no new taxes, let's live within existing revenues, this was it. I'm disappointed the Democrats cannot meet that moment. Having said that, no, there were no discussions from our part on that. Look, where those projects are there are Democrats and Republicans that live in those areas. I think the point that was being made in committee was, having a merit-based, what's the merit to it? But no, we were not a part of that.
The
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I
No,
lost
that's
you at the
okay.
beginning.
Yeah, so Democrats yesterday and like a House committee last night talked about like putting in the revenue package a like global intangible low tax income, so it's like a tax on global multinational corporations.
I have no doubt that they are looking for all different ways and all different types of taxes that they can sell. The reality is we haven't seen what's in the revenue bill. I think that's our point. The nine hours to go, and we still don't know what $1 billion, $1.5 billion are going to be in that bill. And more importantly, it's not about us. The people of Illinois don't know, and that's going to rush through two chambers over $1 billion in tax increases.
With the revenue package and not understanding all of the details of it, the line is saying there's no broad-based tax increases, but there seems to be several industries that are going to be hit in one way or another that we're not entirely sure exactly how that's gonna work. If the broad population gets taxed, they can respond in elections, and we know businesses, industry often can go other routes, courtrooms, other opportunities. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on basing the revenue for this budget on something that is no doubt going to get pushed back, even if we find out about it a couple hours before the actual vote.
You know, I would say, you know, Cole, it depends on perspective in terms of what's broad-based, what's not broad-based, not defined by the governor. It's over $1 billion in tax increases. And why, I mean, you step back, why is Illinois, since Governor Pritzker's been in office, in the bottom 5 in the nation in GDP growth percentage? Why is that? Why are we growing less than our neighboring states, anyone else in the Midwest? It's because this constant tax burden, we pick industry by industry, come up with a narrative, and it is harming job producers. And ultimately, that is harming Illinois families. So I know Senator Rose wants to add to that.
I just want to say one thing about the broad-based thing, okay? Again, this is one of these moments of cynical word choice, right? Everybody's energy bill is going up massively in a couple days, all right? There's no relief for ratepayers in this state. And in fact, Governor Pritzker, through all these different actions he's taken over the last 6 years, have actually raised those rates. So, you know, taxes come in many forms, and I would submit to you for a working family that's about to get hit with a 40% increase in their energy bill, that's a pretty damn big tax. And there's nothing in this budget that helps working families at all.
What are you guys gonna do with your $7,000 pay raise?
Is there, I'm not aware that that's in the budget, but again, we need to be focused on tax relief for working families.
We gotta go to the floor, they're doing, they're calling for us to the floor. We can keep answering questions, but we're gonna be here all night. If you guys wanna ask us on the floor, I can work with everybody.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.